Howdy, everybody. How goes it? Happy Friday, y'all. See, we already got 11 folks here. I guess that's what happens when it's Friday, and I also wait an extra 2 minutes to show up. I am Dr. Matt Dorsey, Doctor of Acupuncture and Chinese Medicine, also known as the CHOQTOR, also known as CHOQ's Chief Scientific Officer and Formulator, and herb and natural health geek, I suppose you could say. I always try to slightly vary my terminology, all the different terms I use to describe what I do and what I am. Who have we got? Hello, Chalk Gamer. Hello, Svetlana. Hello, Senior Prepper. Hello, Kevin. Howdy, Evan. Who else we got? Cecily, Kenny. Awesome. Nice to see so many regulars. Looks like we already got about 13 people fluctuating up and down by a few, but give or take 2, somewhere in that neighborhood. So how's everybody doing? BC, hello. Skylar, hello. Jonathan, hello. How's y'all's week been? By the way, if the light seems weird, just got to say, I'm still adjusting my lighting situation. I might take 1 or 2 small breaks while we're talking to dial it up or down a bit. The days are getting shorter, and therefore I'm having to use more artificial light, which is not my favorite. There's a window right here. Y'all probably don't realize, but there's a window right here, and there's a window right here. And previously, around the same time, I was able to get natural light, but now it's a bit more artificial, and so it's a little strange getting used to the synthetic light here. It's an LED studio light here that I can dial the color in. So if it looks strange, that's why. And if I look slightly thrown off, trying to figure out every once in a while if I have it too bright or not, please excuse me for that. So, all right. Dr. CHOQTOR is awesome, says Senior Prepper. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being here. Yeah, how was y'all's week? Mine was pretty intense, I would say. It's been really busy. I'm looking tan. Oh, nice. Well, I did actually, there was one day this week, I think it was Wednesday, when I did get a little bit of sun, when there actually was some sun outside, and I made it a point to do that. Although, of course, it could be a side effect of the lighting. And, of course, I am wearing my Make Orwell Fiction Again shirts that I do wear every once in a while. One of my favorite fun shirts, fun and quite topical if you're following what's going on, really, in the world. Good to laugh, though. Good to laugh at the ridiculousness. Senior Prepper, yes. Okay, so I see you requested that I back up, and I guess I probably already responded to your request without realizing it. Yes. All right, let's see if we got any good questions here. Svetlana says he's amazing and so knowledgeable. Thank you very much, Svetlana. That's very kind of you to say. Very kind of you indeed. Hello, Evan. How you doing? Happy Friday to you too, Cecily. Great to see you again as well, Kenny. Yeah, lots of familiar faces I'm seeing here. Let's see. Which CHOQ products can I take on an empty stomach for fasting purposes? Skylar, really any of them, but I would say if you have a sensitive stomach, then taking a bunch of CHOQ products at the same time might be a bit much. You know, your results may vary. It depends. Some people have an iron stomach. I personally have a fairly sensitive stomach, but Action 2.0 is the one that we do get some feedback on. People do say, even though it's a fantastic product that gives great results, that it can be a bit rough on the digestive system. So that would be one you might want to be slightly more careful with. I personally can actually take all of these on an empty stomach, even though I have a sensitive stomach, and I'm fine. But everyone's different, so yes. All right. Kenny is making elk soup. Nice, Kenny. Do you hunt? Did you actually hunt this elk yourself, or did you buy the elk? I'm just curious. Sorry if there's any vegans here. Don't mean to offend. What else we got here? Sam, you like the shirt? Thank you very much. Abigail, Texas is amazing. I'm very glad to live in Texas. Austin is, Austin's obviously, slightly different than the rest of Texas, but Texas is great. We like our freedom here. We're a freedom-loving people. And we like a lot of space too. We like lots of open spaces. Cecily says, it's been a good week with a lot of spiritual work. don't feel like a lot of doors open for the world, and I feel work done. I feel like a lot of doors open for the world. I feel positive. Very good. Glad you're feeling positive. That's excellent. Kenny, I got this shirt. Where did I get this shirt? I think it might be called like Libertarian T-shirts or libertarianclothing.com or something to that effect. Search for that. If you type in make Orwell fiction again in quotes in Google and then shirt, it'll probably pop right up. So yeah. Can you explain polyphenols? Taking a polyphenol supplement, does the body manufacture polyphenols itself? To my knowledge, polyphenols are not endogenous, which endogenous is a fancy term that we like to use in the science and medical realms, meaning that something is produced inside the body. So if you want to sound, if you want to sound fancy and like you really know what you're talking about, you can say endogenous, or exogenous would be the opposite, produced outside the body. I'll type that in for you guys. Endogenous. Endo meaning inside, right? And then the opposite would be exogenous. But polyphenols are not endogenous to my knowledge, no. They do occur in a wide variety of different foods and other plants, and of course polyphenols it's a broad category of compounds. There's all sorts of different ones. They do have different effects. In general, polyphenols do tend to be antioxidants. And of course, what the heck is an antioxidant really though? I mean, like, I'm just curious really fast, how many of you guys know what an antioxidant is and have like a really good grasp of that? This might be a fun thing to talk about for a second. Do you know what an antioxidant is? What does that actually mean? Right. So, I mean, I think most people probably know that there's these things called free radicals, and maybe they're bad in some way, and that maybe the antioxidants, they counter free radicals. But I am curious, just like, tell me in the chat, what do y'all know about antioxidants? It's become kind of it's been a buzzword for a long time, right? In like literally any kind of food product, any kind of supplement that has any antioxidant function at all, they'll put it right in the front, right? Like antioxidant, rich in antioxidants, right? Because it just sounds cool. But what the heck does it actually mean? But yeah, regarding polyphenols, Abigail, to be more specific, you don't necessarily need to take a polyphenol supplement. You might just want to look into polyphenol-rich foods. And of course, there are many other antioxidants that are not polyphenol class that are also helpful as well. So yeah, not something you need to necessarily worry about a lot, but yeah, cacao is rich in polyphenols, and the polyphenols in cacao not only are antioxidants, but can be responsible for some of its cardiovascular beneficial effects. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm curious, like, so let's see, helps counter free radicals. Yes. Attached to positively charged particles that are not supposed to be in the body. That's almost correct. So yeah, so a free radical, like on a chemistry level, is something that is trying to steal electrons, right? So it has enough of a capacity to where essentially it has, I guess, like a shell, right? That, God, what is the term? It's actually the chemistry term is actually eluding me. But essentially, right, there's an unpaired electron. There's an electron that's missing from its orbit around the atom, and it has the ability to pull electrons from other substances around it, right, from other chemical compounds in its vicinity. And this pull is very strong. And so once it steals an electron from this other compound, then it's able to it destabilizes that compound, right? So it affects that compound on a chemical, atomic and chemical level, essentially, and it can result in other compounds, tissues made of chemical compounds, being degraded or dysfunctional. But here's the really interesting part. None of that actually really matters, because that's just all chemistry BS. I mean, it's fun, it's interesting, but here's what actually matters. Your immune system uses free radicals as a weapon. So when you use hydrogen peroxide to disinfect a wound, for example, or as a gargle, right, to kill bacteria in your mouth or whatever, that's its mechanism of action. It's acting as a free radical, right? Your immune system actually generates endogenous peroxide free radicals, or if you want to sound very, very fancy, ROS reactive oxygen species. That's a super fancy scientific sounding term that'll make you seem really smart at dinner parties. ROS, ROS, reactive oxygen species, whatever you want to call it, free radicals. But yeah, your immune system actually produces peroxides similar to hydrogen peroxide, same kind of compound, as a free radical to destroy pathogens, right? And just to keep critters in check, you know? And interestingly enough, your immune system relies on antioxidants as a kind of shielding to protect itself from friendly fire, from collateral damage. So here's the metaphor here. And this is not, there's a lot more to it than that. This is just one feature of how free radicals are used in the body and generated in the body. There's other ways they're generated as well, as a byproduct of mitochondrial energy production, for example. That's one of them. But yeah, so here's one. Let's use a war metaphor, right? So let's say you have a battle raging on in your town and you have enemy forces that invaded your town, right? And you're fighting these enemy forces, you know, and I mean, they're right in the downtown of this, like, you know, town, right? And there's a good chance at some point, one of your tanks firing on another enemy tank might accidentally blow up your library or your Walmart or whatever, right? So this would be the equivalent of taking some sort of like really powerful armor and surrounding all of your buildings in your town with that armor. So literally, your body will tack on antioxidant groups onto the outside of your own cells, so that in case there is a conflagration going on around those cells, your cells are protected against the free radicals, the ROS, reactive oxygen species, being generated by your immune warriors to destroy the critters, the bad guys. So fascinating, right? But anyway, yes, that's one of the more interesting features of free radicals and how they work in the body that most people are not aware of. Very, very few people realize that. It's only like the nerdiest of the nerdy people who have really studied this stuff who understand that. Most folks have never heard of that. So thought maybe you guys might blow your minds a little bit. It is fascinating to think about these tiny invisible processes going on in the body on a cellular level, and the complexity, the incredible complexity of it, the sheer complexity of Mother Nature and the way she has set up our physiology. It is absolutely mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. And, you know, this is Friday, so let's just do it up with lots of tangents here. You know, there are people out there who are from a materialist scientific paradigm. You know, it's become fashionable for scientists these days to be just total materialists, right? Where they believe in, you know, basically just everything is completely random. There's no intelligence whatsoever to the universe. And, you know, when you look at the incredible elegance and complexity of the universe at every level of scale, from the cosmic to the quantum, it's mind-blowing. It really is. And the best scientists, many of them were previous generations, right? Look into old school physicists, you know, and you to some of their quotes, like people like, obviously everyone knows Albert Einstein, but there's also some lesser known names like Max Planck. He's like one of the fathers, or maybe the father of quantum physics. There's also, who else? Richard Feynman. These guys were on a whole other level. They were hardcore scientists, hardcore physicists, and yet they have these quotes that sound almost metaphysical. You know, they are saying things about the extreme elegance and beauty of the universe, and things that sound very poetic. And I think that the true scientists, the ones that are really on point, Jonathan mentioned Tesla. Absolutely. Tesla was just on a whole other level. David Bohm, Abigail, fantastic example. David Bohm is amazing. David Bohm actually did a bunch of stuff with Jiddu Krishnamurti, right? The Indian mystic and philosopher. Yeah, a lot of these really high-level physicists, man, you know, they were anything but materialists. You know, they weren't into this whole idea that the universe is just completely random, you know, and It's been said like the DNA molecule, for example, being assembled by completely random processes, out of dead, stupid matter, is the equivalent of if there was a junkyard and then you had a tornado come through the junkyard and the tornado just threw together a Boeing 747, right? No matter how many times that happens for, no matter how many billions or trillions of years you have tornadoes going through junkyards, that will literally never happen. So there is very obviously some intelligence at work here. Now, of course, I won't make claims as to the nature of that intelligence. That's for each of y'all's personal philosophies and beliefs, and whatever works for you is cool. But there's clearly an intelligence at work here. Just thought that would be a fun tangent for a second to go on. But yeah, David Bohm, great. Abigail, I actually watched some David Bohm a few weeks ago and a few interviews with him. Unfortunately, I guess he had gone to like one or two meetings of like related to communism a long time ago. And so, it's a crazy story. He was going to be part of the Manhattan Project. He was actually under J. Robert Oppenheimer, right, who led the Manhattan Project. And but they looked into him and they were like, oh, he wasn't actually a communist or anything like that, but he went to some meetings and debated some people, or whatever. And apparently they were like, no, you don't get to be part of this. So he was actually shunned, unfortunately, by the physics community because of that. So unfortunately, he kind of got the shaft there on that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Kenny says, I'm blessing Mother Nature and the elk's spirit before eating, helping the elk spirit make it through and become another elk or whatever it likes to. Very cool, Kenny. Nice. You said you don't hunt. You're getting your hunting license this summer. Awesome. Very cool. You buy wild meat from your house lord. He's hunting. Great. That's really fantastic. I mean, that's the best way to do meat is, wild, obviously, the way it's always been for millions of years is, an animal living a completely normal life in nature, or as normal as possible in our modern era. And then, being hunted, right? That's how it should work. So if you're going to do meats and, not saying whether you should or shouldn't do meat, if you're vegan or not, that's either way is cool with me. But if you're going to do meat, wild meat is the way to go. It was not until fairly recently where we had these weird factories, right, where animals cannot even, live a normal life. And obviously that's not cool. So factory farmed meat is very not cool. I'd say we could do a whole episode on that, but might be too depressing. I don't even know if I want to research that, to be honest. All right, let's see. Electron shell. Yes, Abigail, that was the term I was looking for. Thank you, electron shell. Let's see. Grounding does the same thing with free radicals. Yes, Evan, the theory is that the Earth has a negative charge, which means it has free electrons, and that when you make electrical contact with the Earth, you have these free electrons flowing from the Earth into your body, and therefore they are able to quench these free radicals, right? To give them the electrons they're looking for. That certainly could be one of the main ways maybe that that grounding is able to exert its effects. By the way, let me since we're on that topic, let me go ahead and plug a blog I did on grounding. CHOQ blog. Let's see if I can just find it here on the good old Google, or actually DuckDuckGo technically. Yes, 5 health benefits of earthing, aka grounding, same thing. So yeah, if you want to learn more about some of the science, some of the research behind earthing, also known as grounding, I did actually a pretty cool, pretty in-depth article back when I had time to write these super in-depth blogs before I had other stuff going on it. And there's some really cool stuff in there. Definitely check that one out. There's also some thermography in there. It's really cool where they actually do, like I'm looking right now at the blog. Check it out. They use a camera called FLIR, like an infrared camera, right, to do thermography. And they'll actually show before and after earthing. They've got a picture here of a person, and you can see these hot spots where part of their body is inflamed. And then you can actually see afterwards the temperature has cooled way down. And so, yeah, really fascinating. But I mean, you have to be aware of all of the different ways that we've changed our behavior as humans in ways where we are behaving drastically differently than our ancestors, even from 100 years ago, let alone 500 to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 years ago. We did not evolve to live in man-made boxes made of wood and metal with electrosmog and right angles and all this weirdness. I'm not saying you can't be healthy. Of course you can, but we did not evolve in this kind of environment. And, so we evolved to be in constant electrical contact with planet Earth. And so, of course, there would be some unforeseen consequences. Apparently, I'm told that the Native Americans have a belief that wearing shoes makes you sick. And interestingly enough, I am also told that moccasins, like actual leather moccasins, are conductive. And I guess especially maybe if there's like some moisture from your feet and there's a little bit of moisture, but the electrons can actually pass through leather moccasins. So, you could potentially do that if you're outside. They also do make earthing footwear. I've never tried it, but they do have conductive footwear you can buy too. So, here's another cool one, by the way. It's called 4 Evidence-Based Methods to Boost Your Immunity. And one of those ways, hint, hint, is earthing. The other ways are forest bathing, nasal breathing and nasal humming, and last but not least, yoga, of course. Yeah. And it is cool to see all the research on this kind of stuff. Obviously, there's not that much money in it. It's not like there's like a big yoga, I mean, obviously people do make money on yoga, but it's not like there's like billions of dollars to spend on R&D for not R&D, but on research specifically for yoga or earthing. So the studies are pretty small, but they do exist. All right, let's see here. What else we got? Evan says antioxidants are found in vitamins A, C, and E. Yes, A, C, and E are antioxidants. Many other minerals that are required for antioxidant production. And is part of the concept behind CHOQ Apex Glutathione, my favorite CHOQ product personally, which of course will be back out in a couple of months. But yes, so, of course, glutathione is the master antioxidant. You need many different vitamins and minerals to produce glutathione. So even though, for example, vitamin B6 is not an antioxidant itself, you need B6 to produce your body's core antioxidant, So many nutrients do go into antioxidant production. Let's see here. Yeah. So Kenny is getting the picture. It looks like somebody else asked the question that I'm not allowed to answer, for legal reasons. And Kenny's like, yeah, you can't talk about that here. Yes, I do appreciate it. I'm sorry. There are certain things I'm just cannot discuss on here. Everything else that I can, I certainly will. But that's one thing, that sort of stuff I can't talk about. Ever heard of pinhole glasses to improve astigmatism? I know nothing about that. No, I do not. Let's see. What else we got here? Oh, scroll back up. Senior Prepper is wondering if I eat fish, and yes, I do indeed. I am a bit more of a pescatarian. I do have some other. I mentioned this quite a few times, but for those of y'all who don't know, I have been vegan in the past. That actually was great for me. But more recently, I just kind of am doing the primarily pescatarian thing. I do have some non-fish meat sometimes as well, but pescatarian for the most part agrees with me. So I do prefer wild-caught salmon. I eat tuna very rarely. I had tuna today, and I have tuna very rarely because there's tons of mercury. I eat it. I try not to eat it more than once a month, maybe twice a month as a maximum. And when I do eat it, I take it with spirulina, glutathione, vitamin C, and cilantro to help with the mercury in there. So yeah, cilantro being one of the really good, especially mercury binders. So yeah, let's see here. And of course, if you're going to do salmon, Try to do a wild caught salmon, but I will say there are some farm salmons that are much better than others. The one at Whole Foods, I have talked to them before, and they have sworn to me that they don't give their salmon any antibiotics or any antiparasitics, and that they're farmed in a much better fashion. And I will tell you that intuitively, based on how I feel, because I've bought some cheaper farm salmon before at just like a more Randall's type of a place, mainstream grocery store, and I have felt awful after eating it. And then I have compared that to how I feel after eating the higher quality farm salmon that doesn't have the weird antiparasitic and other weird drugs in it, and I feel way better. It's like night and day. So I literally, because I felt so bad last time I ate the Randall's salmon, that I'm just never doing that again. So definitely, if you're buying farm salmon, be very careful where you're getting it from. There's only a couple places, I think, where there's quality farm salmon. And I get it, the wild caught stuff is really expensive. It's like 50% more on average, sometimes more. So, yeah. Not that, obviously even wild caught has its problems. I mean, there's so much pollution. It's you have to pick your, pick your battles here. All right. What else we got? Tesla was the champion. Yes, Sam, Tesla was awesome. Most scientists are not spiritual, and they definitely should be. Evan, it depends. It really does. A lot of the scientists who you find who are really vocal, and they like to trot them out on mainstream television, they have a weird chip on their shoulder, where they're just like anti all religion, and they're like anti-God, and that's their kind of thing, right? But if you actually talk to a lot of scientists in different fields and you get a survey of their beliefs, you might be surprised by how many of them do have different kinds of spiritual or religious beliefs or whatever, But yes, it is certainly much more common these days than it used to be for scientists to be just like hardcore materialist atheists, And I think just strictly speaking, the only truly, if you want to be a very hardcore philosopher here, the only truly empirical position is agnosticism, if you're going to be totally empirical, because science cannot prove or disprove the existence of some sort of organizing principle or God, if you will. Science has no capacity to do that. There's no proof, there's no disproof. It can say actually nothing about it. It's a completely separate realm of human experience that is totally subjective and intuitive and personal. Science should never have anything to say about it. They're basically completely different worlds. Actually, the Dalai Lama wrote a really cool book a while back, because the Dalai Lama was actually very pro-science in the sense that he was he went through a period where he was trying to get a lot of his experienced lamas who had been meditating for 40 years or whatever into the neuroscience laboratory, and they did it's really cool research at the University of Wisconsin. Dalai Lama actually sent some of his top lamas to U of W, to their neuroscience lab, and they had some really cool findings where they were like, wow, we have literally never seen this density of gamma waves in the brain of a human ever. And we're finding them in all these guys. Like, there is something radically different about these lamas' brains, where they don't look like a normal person's brain at all. They found some really interesting stuff. So Dalai Lama was like, yeah, let's be a really cool, religion. Let's be cool Buddhists. Let's talk to scientists, and let's have our brains studied by scientists. But in the book, he also wrote, science is cool, but it has limitations. There's only so much that science can tell us, because certain things are in its wheelhouse and certain things absolutely are not and never can be. And the problem is that science doesn't want to stay in its lane. And the reason science doesn't want to stay in its lane, it has to do with the Enlightenment. And I actually talk about this. If you guys haven't seen Stay Human episode 1, the Techno Takeover, on CHOQ Nation YouTube, check that out. I talk about this a little bit in there. A few hundred years ago, when science was really coming online, there was the whole thing with the Catholic Church, and they were being, at the time, not very cool, right? And if you're Catholic, no offense at all, not talking about the current, but back then there was the whole crusade thing, and it was just getting real weird, and they were being pretty uncool, you could say, at the time, right? And if you were a scientist like Galileo and you tried to say anything at all that contradicted their wisdom, then you would get tortured, killed, imprisoned, whatever. And so scientists, they have this philosophical inheritance. So they have a chip on their shoulder. They don't realize they've inherited it from previous scientists, but there's a morphic field. There's like a field of information, a culture, a scientific culture. And that was actually their origin. And they actually wanted to become the new clergy. They wanted to replace the church. So many scientists at the time, they were like, oh, we're going to be the new power. We're going to take over for the church, right? And we're seeing the fruits of that now. We're seeing a lot of people who are these hardcore militant scientific atheist materialist type folks who are just like, really have this weird chip on their shoulder against all people who have any kind of faith and are just being very strange about it. And, people like Richard Dawkins is the perfect example. That guy is just nuts. Obviously an intelligent guy, right? I think he's a biologist, right? But anyway, I digress. Well, that's the point though, right? It is Friday. So digressions, I suppose, are welcome. But yes, I believe that really like the best scientists are the ones who come from a place of having a reverence for nature, a reverence for the beauty and the order in things at every level of scale, like I said, and those are the ones that I would want to hang out with, right? All right, let's see. Someone's asking about black seed oil. Black seed oil is pretty cool, Hugo. So it has a lot of different properties. Healthy inflammation response, healthy immune function, digestion. It's relaxing. It supports healthy blood sugar levels. God, I mean, I did some research into black seed a while back because it seemed kind of overhyped with all the claims that people were making. And then I started looking at some papers and I was like, wow, this stuff really is pretty amazing. So yes, black seed is awesome. In terms of supporting healthy cholesterol levels, and again, you remember I'm talking in legally compliant terms, right? I can't use purely scientific terms because that's not legally compliant since I'm talking about a natural compound, just FYI. I can't use the actual terminology from the paper. I have to convert it into a legally compliant terminology to discuss with you guys. But in terms of supporting healthy cholesterol levels, quote unquote, one of the most powerful herbs on the planet, as far as I have seen. Amazing for that. But yes, black seed oil is fantastic. You can get it also as a powder. I do have a powdered extract that I use sometimes. I like to use it at night because it is relaxing. So good time to take it because it does chill you out. I remember I was at a friend's house and I hadn't really tried it much. And I was like, oh, let me try some. And he was like, oh, careful, not too much. I was like, what are you talking about? It's just black seed. And he was like, it's pretty relaxing. And I had, of course, like I usually do, like 4 times the normal amount of this powder. And then an hour later, I was like, whoa, yeah, it's pretty relaxing. I was like, pretty chill. So yeah, black seed's great though. Very cool. It does have a weird flavor. It takes a bit of getting used to. I actually kind of like it. But yeah, it's a weird one for sure. It smells almost synthetic, almost like some sort of weird polymer or something. I don't know. It's a weird flavor. Flavor and smell. Yeah. All right, let's see here. Abigail says, you'll find the industrial meat farms are 100 times worse than we can imagine. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Don't even want to think about it. It's super nasty. It's one of the reasons that, I tell when I'm coaching clients, and I'll tell them, like, the best time to be a vegetarian or a vegan is when you're eating at a restaurant. 99% of restaurants use absolute garbage ingredients, but eating garbage vegetables is not as bad as eating garbage meat. It's true. If you're going to eat bottom of the barrel, super, super cheap stuff, the vegetables not as bad as the meat because, pesticides do hyperaccumulate in meat. So that animal eating produce, or not produce, even grain or whatever, any kind of food that was grown with a lot of pesticides, like especially glyphosate, aka Roundup, you actually get a lot of bioaccumulation of those pesticides in the animal tissue. So, even though we think of pesticides, we think of plants, you actually get higher densities of pesticides in meat. Yeah. Let's see. What else we got? Something about a smoothie was, oh, hold on. I lost my place. Sometimes YouTube skips down. What is the best / powerful smoothie mix you would recommend? Like which fruits? Well, I'll tell you one of my favorites, Mohammed. So I use frozen mango, organic. Just assume everything is organic, obviously. Frozen mango, frozen wild blueberries, cilantro, hemp seed, honey and or date, and water, and possibly some spinach as well. So mango, wild blueberries, make sure that they're the wild kind, not the regular kind. The wild kind are much, much richer in antioxidants and things like that. So yeah, mango, wild blueberry, cilantro, honey and or date, spinach, hemp seed. That's one of my favorites. And I just use water. I don't use any kind of nut milk or anything like that. But really anything you like. Also, of course, banana is a good one. Banana is one of my top allies, food allies. Banana is amazing. It's such a common, and often maligned fruit because everyone's like, oh, there's just too much sugar, blah, blah, blah. Bananas are amazing. They are a brain food. They help drastically with your mood. Potassium we need for our brain especially. So potassium has huge effects on mood. So if you are dragging and you're feeling kind of out of it and cloudy, try eating some high potassium foods. Not just banana, obviously, that's the one everybody knows, but also avocado, Swiss chard, dates. There's lots of ways to get potassium. Even beans. Beans are pretty rich in potassium. So yeah, those are some good things to put in your smoothie. Of course, I don't have the bag in front of me, but I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention the CHOQ heirloom organic cacao beans. Obviously, put that in your smoothie as well if you like cacao. Yeah. Speaking of polyphenols, mushroom powders. Cecily, the mushroom powders that I'm using right now are actually samples that I received from a company who I'm auditioning to be a company who we're going to use for CHOQ products. So I won't tell you the exact name of that company, but let's just say that they are organic. They're made in the USA. They're finely milled, so they're very, very small particle size and easy to mix and absorb, and they're fantastic. And they are the ones that we're going to be releasing next year. We will be releasing single mushroom powders, so you'll be able to buy like a CHOQ lion's mane, a CHOQ reishi, a CHOQ, chaga, et cetera, cordyceps, right? And in fact, this company actually has a roasted cordyceps, and it's really quite delicious. Roasted cordyceps goes great with chocolate. Yeah. What else we got? The book Earthing, Most Important Health Discovery. Oh yeah, Earthing's great. Yeah. Definitely check out that book. I don't think I've read the whole thing or anything, but I have seen the documentary. I'm familiar with that man's work. He's the guy who used to do cable installation, right? Forgot his name. Clint Ober, is that it? Let's see what else we got. Danny's asking about activated charcoal. Activated charcoal is great for absorbing toxins. So it's nice to have on hand in your emergency pack in case you get something nasty, like where you suspect that maybe you got some food that was, improperly cooked, like food poisoning or something, or obviously, any kind of poison. Some people use it after like drinking. But activated charcoal is great. Not necessarily something you want to take all the time, but if you do suspect that there's something in your stomach that you don't want to absorb that is toxic, then activated charcoal is a great idea. Yeah. Let's see. Out-sitting. Kenny, I've never heard of the term out-sitting. What does that mean? That's interesting. Danny says, if I'm putting together a detox stack, would you recommend taking charcoal binders before or after the antitoxin? Danny, I don't really think that something like activated charcoal is something you need to be taking every day. Personally, the main thing, if you want just daily detox, that's going to be something that's sustainable as part of a lifestyle. It's one thing if you're doing a cleanse for 10 days and sure, yeah, do some charcoal or whatever. But if you're talking about just enhancing detox every day as part of your lifestyle for the rest of your life, the main thing is actually to just have lots of fiber in your diet. That fiber acts as a natural binder. So toxins They leave the liver, they mix with the bile, they pass through the gallbladder, they go into the small intestine, right? Then at that point, they need to be bound up with fiber to be shuttled out of the body. That's part of the process of the toxins leaving. So if you have a low fiber diet, such as, for example, if you are doing carnivore, or if you're doing, a lot of people also doing keto or not doing super high fiber, although there are ways to get more fiber with keto for sure. But carnivore obviously is basically a zero fiber diet because animal tissue has no fiber in it whatsoever, zero fiber food. Then you're at a huge disadvantage for detoxification. Not to mention, by the way, as I did mention in my Dark Side of Keto video that I did recently, check it out on our YouTube. There is scientific evidence to suggest that low carbohydrate, high fat diets like keto actually inhibit glutathione synthesis. Really interesting story. So check this out. This was, I think the first paper was in 2008-ish, something like that. So let's call it 13 years ago-ish. And this paper, these are rat studies, but still valid. And what they did is they put rats on a ketogenic diet, and they found that their glutathione production went up. And they were like, oh, ketogenic diet increases glutathione. And then you got the pro-keto people what is that one guy's name? He's that functional medicine guy. David Perlmutter, right? He's one of those keto functional medicine guys. He's a neurologist. Cool guy. Nothing against Dr. Perlmutter, and we're all on the same team here on, in integrated medicine. So nothing against Dr. Perlmutter, but, he's a pro keto guy. He did a video on YouTube where he was like just sharing that first paper where he's like, yeah, check it out. Keto boosts glutathione. Isn't that awesome, right? We all know glutathione is great. Therefore, keto is great. Well, guess what, though? A couple of years later, that same team, led by someone named Dr. Hall, did more research. And what they found is that actually keto was causing increase of free radicals in the hippocampus of the brain. Hippocampus is a structure in your brain associated with memories, it's essential for memory coordination, memory recall, things like that, right? It was causing an increase in these toxic free radical compounds, and the body had to compensate for the damage the keto diet was doing to the brain by increasing glutathione. But then when they followed the rats for a while, what they found is at first the glutathione went up to deal with the toxicity to the brain of the keto diet. And then eventually their livers were completely, and this, I'm using their term from the paper, profoundly depleted of glutathione. So what happened is, what was actually happening, and of course, Dr. Perlmutter in his video, unfortunately, his video was made way after the second paper. But I guess I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that he never saw the second paper. But his video was made at least 2 years after the second paper came out, where they figured out what was actually happening. And I did leave a comment on Dr. Perlmutter's video, and he hasn't responded yet. But yeah, so according to the second paper, it wasn't that the glutathione was just going up. It was increasing to deal with the extreme toxicity of what keto does to your brain. And then over time, because the body had to try to make so much more of it, and because the keto actually like screws up your biochemistry, the liver was depleted. So interestingly enough, it does the opposite. It actually depletes you of glutathione, the keto diet. So there's a guy named Anthony William, also known as medical medium. Bit of a controversial figure because he's sort of a channeler, right? He just channels this medical information. Not everybody likes him. I will tell you personally, he is absolutely fantastic. I don't care what anyone says. I will vouch for his material. He has never let me down. I use his wisdom for myself, for my friends, my family, my clients. His stuff works. He's completely on point. And the first person I ever heard say that high-fat diets impede detoxification, especially detoxification of heavy metals, was Anthony William, medical medium. I have to credit him for that. But what I will do with his information is I'll take what he says, which is more like a channeled out of where from the ether kind of information, and I will try to find scientific evidence to support his claims. And oftentimes I do. Sometimes I don't. But oftentimes I will actually find evidence that says, oh, and so I'll be like, oh, so he said this one thing this one time, and then I'll actually find the mechanism behind it. And that was pretty edifying when I did discover that information there. It's really cool. All right. Whew. What else we got here? Kevin says, I take Irish moss, tomcat, shilajit, holy basil, pick up daily. Cool. It's amazing. Should I take daily later in the day? Balance effects. Kevin, it's really totally up to you. You can take it whenever you want. AM is preferred by a lot of folks because it, just can be kind of energizing, but I would say experiment and see what works for you. There's no one size fits all with this. It doesn't have to be in the morning. What else we got here? Kenny says, can you write down what you take for mercury? I'm not sure if I can write much down right now, but I would just say in general, for heavy metals, well, like I said, number one, don't do keto, right? Make sure you have lots of fruits and vegetables in your diet, lots of fiber. Make sure you're not eating an excessive amount of fat. And then lots of water and everything you need to make glutathione, so you can take preformed glutathione, take NAC, obviously, our product is not on the market right now, but I'll rattle off things that you need in your body to produce glutathione really fast: alpha lipoic acid, vitamin C, selenium, molybdenum, B2, folate, B6. What else? Magnesium, glutamine and glycine are also on the list as well. Boy, I'm sure there's more. And then there's lots of herbs, actually. So in Action 2.0, this guy right here, this herb called, the trade name is Capros, right? But what it is, it's an organic amla extract, amla fruit from India. We have research on this showing that it increases glutathione production, right? And by the way, it's called Capros. It's pronounced Capros, not Capros. Actually, I misspoke. It's called Capros. The Ros is for reactive oxygen species. That's why it's called that. Because it's like capping the Ros. That's why they called it that. So it is a powerful antioxidant. Even the rhodiola in here can upregulate glutathione synthesis. Of course, shilajit, the folic acid, can work on glutathione. So, there's a lot of different ways to skin that cat. You just want to hit as many directions as possible because we do live in a very fairly toxic world, in case you guys hadn't noticed. Speaking of which, I did want to put out there once more, I've been talking about it lately, but I do think that my next major big special is going to be on toxins and the human endocrine system, toxins and reproductive, issues and hormones and all that kind of stuff. That's going to be a really fun one. It's going to be mildly depressing, but it's going to be really fun. It's going to be based on, and again, a lot of y'all have already told this, so apologize for repeating myself. But for those guys who don't know, I wrote this blog a while back called Worse Living Through Chemistry, Hormones That Are Fire, something like that, right? And it's going to be called something like that, and it's going to be based on some of the same things from the blog. And just this kind of attitude that we have where we're just, humans are just super gung-ho about creating these novel chemical compounds, literally tens of millions of novel chemical compounds in the last 100 years, and what many of them are doing to us, but particularly with respect to the fertility crisis. Not just about fertility, but also about just our state of consciousness, because, sex hormones have a massive impact on our state of consciousness, right? Your ratio of, you can take a man, for example, and you look at this man's ratio of testosterone to cortisol, right? And if the ratio is lower, meaning you have less testosterone and more cortisol, you're going to have a very different outlook on life than if this is like this, where your T is up here and your cortisol is down here. Interestingly enough, a lot of the herbal adaptogens that you tend to find in CHOQ products have research specifically to support a healthy testosterone to cortisol ratio. Tomcat is one of them. Ashwagandha is another one. So it's Let's see, is autofocus not working today? It's kind of finicky. Maybe I just need to learn how to use it correctly. It seems like some days it works great, other days not. But anyway, so but yeah, cortisol testosterone ratio is a big one. All right, what else we got? Babinski says, hello, Babinski. Mr. Babinski. I'm excited for the mushroom release. I love cordyceps. Cordyceps is fantastic. Big fan. Cordyceps also increases glutathione synthesis. Oh, by the way, I'm going to do that annoying thing really fast. I just noticed there's about 24 people watching. We've got about 10 thumbs up right now. If you wouldn't mind, if you're watching right now and you're digging this, just hit the like button really fast for us, just to get a few more likes in this video. That would be awesome. Every one of those does help. So, and I assume if you are watching right now, you probably do like the video. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching. So, yeah. Again, I know it's mildly annoying, but it's just a thing you got to do, right? Trying to build the channel, just trying to get as many of those likes as we can. I mean, if you're watching and you hate it, you're hating what I'm saying, then that's interesting. I don't know why, but, you know, I guess in that case, then hit the dislike button. All right, what else we got here? I gotta scroll up. We got a bunch of stuff. Took a double dose of all 7 CHOQ supplements along with a cup of brewer coffee. You were fully chalked up. Very cool, Danny B. By the way, thank you. I just saw that the likes go up dramatically. So thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you guys listening to that. That's very nice of you. Do I have my own Telegram channel? Kenny, I do not. I do have my own Instagram. You're welcome to check me out there. It's just Dr. Matt Dorsey. So it's at DrMattDorsey if you want to check that out. And I do try to share CHOQ stuff on there too, not just personal, but yeah. And there are things I share on there that, you know, I can't talk about here, of course. But no, I don't have a Telegram channel at the moment. Oh, by the way, so Evan just said CHOQ fought the law and the law won. It's kind of funny you said that. Guess what, guys? Piece of news, little announcement. We got our old Instagram channel back, which is crazy. It just randomly came back today. And our lawyer actually sent a message to Meta, I guess they're called now, a while back, whenever they took our old channel down. Maybe they listened to it. We have no idea. They didn't tell us anything. We didn't get any message. All of a sudden, our old channel's back up, the old Get CHOQ channel. But of course, we have the new one as well that we, you know, purchase. So apparently, we have multiple Instagram channels. I don't know which, like, if we're going to have just continue to have 2 different ones. We technically have 3. It's kind of crazy, but anyway, that's a funny thing that happened. All right. Let's see. Sam says, I just ate a handful of cacao beans, feeling great. That's awesome. What else we got here? Oh, looks like a fly got in through this window. 1 second. Screen is not totally good there. Is cacao okay for the evening, or is that a caffeinated thing? Andy, there is some caffeine in caffeine. There is some caffeine in cacao, but a lot of its stimulating properties actually come from other compounds like theobromine and phenylethylamine, which is a powerful dopamine precursor. I personally try not to have much cacao in the evening. It is pretty stimulating, so I would not recommend that. No, I'd recommend it earlier in the day for sure. Unless you're going to go out dancing, in which case, go for it, you know, get her done. All right, what else we got here? You know, guys, I think it might be time to do the first prize giveaway here. And, of course, it is Double Prize Friday, so you know what that means. That means that prize number 1 is actually 2 of any CHOQ products. Bust out my random number generator. So let's go ahead and start the 1 minute timer. You have 1 minute to get your 2-digit number in the chat. If you are new to the channel, new to Ask the CHOQTOR Live, you get 1 entry. It is a 2-digit number, and whoever is closest to the randomly generated number is the winner. And I always say this, but there's always a few people who don't get it in time. I will type in the word done, and Whoever gets in after the word done is typed into the chat. Unfortunately, your entry will not count. So you have 17 seconds left as of right now. And yeah, it's cool to see all these numbers. I always love the turnout on Fridays. We do have the best turnout for Double Prize Fridays for sure. So it's going to take me a second. I'm going to need y'all's help to figure this out, who won. All right, that's it. So whoever got it in after does not count. And the randomly generated number was 95. 95. Who's in the 90s here? You guys want to help me here? Jonathan is 91. What else we got? Dib was 99. Oh, so you guys are both 4 away then. What else we got? Anybody else in the 90s? Anybody else? No? Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks to me as if Jonathan is 4 away, and also Dib is 4 away. Therefore, we need to have a showdown. So once more, Jonathan and Dib, you are the last ones here. Yeah. Yes, CHOQ Gamer, exactly. I like the Super Soaker icons there. Okay, so Dib and Jonathan, right now, give me a number between 1 and 100, and we'll generate a new number. Sudden death. All right, anytime. Dib and Jonathan. Okay, Jonathan has 77. Dib, are you there? Dib going once. All right, we're going to give Dib about 5 more seconds. And if Dib does not come through, then that means Jonathan. Okay, there we go. 77. The number is, oh my God, the number is 77. I'm not even kidding. Jonathan, you must be taking your Shilajit. You literally got the number exactly right. That's crazy. Wow. Congratulations, Jonathan. It's funny how you guys both guessed double digits, like 2. That's cool. 77, 55. Wow. Fascinating. So anyway, yes, Jonathan Rojas with 77. You hit it right on the head. That's fantastic. Good for you, man. That's really cool. Prize number 1 is 2 of any CHOQ product because it is Double Prize Friday. So that is awesome. Let me just write that down. Prize number 1 is Jonathan. All right. Awesome. Very cool. Very, very cool. All right. So, Dib guessed multiple times. I didn't even realize that. Oops. Well, it looks like Dib, you were disqualified anyway. But I'm glad Jonathan won. So, yeah. But Dib, just for future purposes, you only get to guess 1 time. Sometimes I forget to check for people doing multiple guesses there. But anyway, it worked out. Jonathan won, so it all worked out. All right, what's the next topic, guys? What do we got here? CHOQ Gamer says, is connecting consciousness back on IG as well. He does have a new IG. It's not his. I don't think his old one has come back, but he is on there. He's calling himself Shane Vibes now, like Shane _ Vibes or just Shane Vibes, something like that. But you can find Shane on IG now. Yes. What else we got? You guys have such great attitudes. I'm looking at some of the stuff you're saying to each other. It's really cool. You guys are a really great audience, so appreciate you guys. Kenny is saying something like, out sitting is you fast for 4 days, you eat 1 meal after the sun goes down, or as long as you want, designated spot, you feel a lot of energy. And after a while, you feel the energies in nature, universe, you're being grounded, heals. Okay, interesting. Huh, so it's a Norwegian thing, huh? Cool, very cool. Yeah, teach us more about Norway. It's always cool having an international crowd and just kind of seeing where everybody's at, you know? Yeah, it's awesome. Evan says it's Shane Vibes _ truth. Cool. Yeah, I have seen a couple different ones that belong to Shane. Yeah, so. All All right. What else? What else do we want to talk about today, guys? Here's another cool blog I did. I got to tell you guys something really funny, actually. So really fast, I'm just going to say that this blog is called 3 Easy Ways to Tell If a Supplement is Junk. This is a really good one. You can pass this on to anyone, friends or family, anybody who wants just a really easy method for weeding out certain supplements. It's got a list of ingredients to avoid in there in terms of especially vitamins and minerals to avoid certain forms. It also talks about the importance of avoiding proprietary blends. CHOQ is a full disclosure labeling company. That's a very rare thing in the supplements industry. What that means is we actually tell you the exact amount of every single ingredient that's active. Whereas a lot of companies, they can do this thing called proprietary blends where there'll be a list over here of like 8 different herbs, for example, and there'll just be a total. It says 2,000 milligrams over here. Literally, some of those herbs actually, they can put 1 milligram in, which does absolutely nothing, and it's totally legal to do. CHOQ does not do that. We tell you the exact amount of every single herb in there. But anyway, that's a cool one. And this reminded me, I won't tell you who he is, but there's a very hilarious comedian who is getting really big online on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok. You guys might have seen some of his stuff. And again, I can't say who it is yet because nothing's official, but he's hilarious. His stuff is exploding. I had a conversation with him recently. We talked on the phone about him working with CHOQ and doing some really hilarious, fun ads and basically representing CHOQ. And so long story short, though, he does some impressions. And I was thinking maybe it'd be really fun to have him do an impression of Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson has that book called 12 Rules for Life. And I thought it'd be really funny to do a CHOQ commercial called 12 Rules for Supplements and have him actually pretending to be Jordan Peterson. So that's we'll see if it ever happens or not. That's an idea I had earlier that I thought would be really funny. Jordan Peterson, interesting guy. I do have a lot of respect for him for sure. He's a little stuffy sometimes, Dr. Peterson, but I really like that guy. There's just something about him, and he's absolutely brilliant. Whether you agree with everything he says or not, you got to have respect because he's doing some interesting work for sure. But I did think that would be really funny to have because Jordan Peterson has that sort of froggy voice that I can't even do it. He sounds kind of like Kermit the Frog, a Canadian version of Kermit the Frog. No, I can't do it at all. I do not do Jordan Peterson impersonations, but he does have a really very characteristic and interesting sounding voice. And that'd be great. 12 rules instead of 12 rules for life, 12 rules for supplements. Another fun CHOQ commercial would be if we had Fauci, probably shouldn't do that, to be honest, probably a horrible idea. But he was like, it's really important that, you eat right, because right now is a very stressful time. Of course, Fauci would never say that because, he's not someone who really probably cares about actually taking care of your body. As most physicians, that's not how they see things. I like the idea of, having somebody do some fun impersonations for us. Hopefully, ones that we can get away with where we won't get sued. Have to run it by our fancy lawyer first, obviously, and make sure he's cool with it before we do anything like that. But CHOQ does, by the way, we do have a pretty baller lawyer, and it definitely helps, right, to be able to ask a super pro level dude, hey, can we do this? So we're not flying blind. So just know, we're pushing the limits on some of this stuff, but we're not doing it in a stupid way. Or we're actually we know what we're doing. We have proper legal counsel, so hopefully that helps you guys, chill out and worry about us less. All right, what else we got? Let's see. All right. Mr. Rubinsky, the way that you phrased that question, unfortunately, I cannot legally answer it. Speaking of lawyers, you should make a video with Shane vibes. Danny, that would be cool. I've been talking about trying to do that at some point. We just never gotten around to it. Anyone have a vitamin D3 KT brand? Oh, yeah. I don't recommend brands other than CHOQ. Step one, don't get your supplements from Walmart. That's probably a pretty good step one. Yeah. I mean, really, any kind of big box store or mainstream drugstore, sometimes they do sell a few things that are good, but generally speaking, what they sell is absolute garbage, just garbage and not fit for human consumption. So yeah, step one, really, yeah, don't shop at big box stores. Don't shop at mainstream drugstores, just don't. When you're buying supplements, maybe buy other stuff from there, but don't buy supplements. Buy supplements from like a natural grocery store, like a Whole Foods or a Sprouts or a Natural Grocers, places like that. Obviously, Amazon, I mean, some people, right, don't like Amazon because they are kind of evil. I still use them, even though I know they're kind of evil, to be honest. So I guess I'm a bit of a hypocrite that way. But yeah, don't those big mainstream stores, just don't buy supplements from them. Chances are it's going to be garbage, most likely. Not that I, am a total supplement snob or anything. So CDM is asking about something that is pharmaceutical in nature. Therefore, I probably should not comment on it. So CDM, I did see that you asked that question before. The reason I didn't answer is because you're referring to pharmaceuticals, and that's something I really probably should not talk about also for legal reasons. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to decide not to answer that question, even though I have opinions on it. Evan, these supplements are great. It's like wow, Jordan Peterson voice. Nice. I'm trying to imagine Jordan Peterson saying that, I do need to work on my Jordan Peterson impersonation. I can kind of do Fauci a little bit. He's like, these supplements from CHOQ, these are really amazing. They changed my life. During the lockdown, it's been very stressful, not being able to go outside, having to wear 17 different masks at the same time. And, CHOQ Daily just gives me great energy, gives me the energy I need to do all these press conferences about the lockdowns and, all this. Daniel's asking if I see any food supply issues in 2022. I would be prepared for sure. My friend Senior Prepper is obviously prepared, right? Because we're talking about someone who has the name Prepper in their title. And increasingly, I'm becoming a bit of a prepper myself. And I think it's a good idea to be prepared. There's this weird supply chain stuff. I was watching some stuff earlier on tensions between China and Australia, really between China and the rest of the world. China is just getting more and more of just a full-on bully and just flexing their might. And God only knows what's going to happen with all this supply chain stuff. Hopefully it'll be fine. It won't be a big deal. But yeah, I'm definitely considering getting some food supply. I don't have it yet. It's something I have considered for sure. The problem is that I don't eat gluten or dairy, and I'm really picky about my food quality. So I'm trying to find, if you guys know any giant bucket of emergency food that is actually quality, definitely let me know. I found a little bit of stuff that I actually can eat. It's on my diet. That seems decent quality. But yeah, it might not be a bad idea to have 2 weeks worth of food on hand, at least, or a month, just in case. Yeah. But yeah, I have no idea what's actually going to happen. I just know there's a lot of conjecture there. Okay. What else we got? Kenny, you like the Fauci impression, huh? Apex glutathione, I think is, it's, I really like what it does for my mood, helps support a healthy mood whenever I'm, at the White House, talking about how to wear masks properly. That is not gain of function research. Absolutely not. You guys seen the Rand Paul versus Fauci? This endless slew of videos of Rand Paul just going after Fauci with a pitchfork. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Those two do not like each other at all. No, they don't. Jim Bob, Made by Jim Bob is a great Jordan Peterson impression. Cool. Thanks, Evan. I'm not familiar with Made by Jim Bob, but I will definitely check him out. Let's see. Sam says here in Canada, we're seeing issues with liquor and also Kellogg's. Okay. Very specific. Kellogg's company. Have you heard about Claude Davis and his book, The Old Ways? No, Kenny, I have not. The Old Ways. That sounds cool, though. Tell me more. Evan says, wow, prepping, that's radical behavior. That's right. Yeah, if you have extra food, if you have extra batteries, flashlights, God forbid you have a gun, then you're definitely a radical and you're super dangerous. You're not just the smart person who's prepared for, crazy things happening. It's funny. I do say, by the way, I will say I am a Texan. I've lived here my whole life. I may not sound that Texan. Obviously have a slight Texan accent, but not that Texan, right? But I will say that I am very glad to live somewhere with so many firearms. I'm a pretty non-violent person, so I'm not about really ever having to use a gun or anything like that. But I am glad with considering the authoritarian direction that things are going right now with various governments all over the planet. For example, this guy had some things to say about that. I am very glad to live not just in a country that has a lot of guns, but probably one of the states where we have, I would guess, I haven't seen the stats, but probably have more guns in Texas than any other state, I would guess. Maybe not. But there's a lot of guns here. So, yeah, I think that's probably a good thing. It might be a deterrent for certain, authoritarian types. Yeah. Again, saying that as a fairly nonviolent person who, definitely is not into violence at all. But it is necessary to defend yourself against authoritarian regimes. Absolutely. At least on a country level as a preventive. Let's see here. Everyone needs to have a garden. Yes, I agree. Absolutely. Rand Paul destroys Fauci. Love it. Yeah, it is funny watching Rand Paul and Fauci go back and forth. It's pretty entertaining. It's, I would like to see just the two of them just like, at a coffee shop, just having a conversation and trying to be civil with each other. Danny says, Dr. Matt, are you excited to live in 2030 so we can own nothing and be happy? Oh, yeah, I cannot wait. Absolutely. World Economic Forum, they are my jam. I am all about it. Those guys are great. They really, you will eat the bugs and be happy. My name is Klaus Schwab. Yeah. I don't know if I do a Klaus Schwab impersonation, but I could do German, Yeah, you will have really, no, that's more Arnold Schwarzenegger. You have nothing and be happy. You'll eat the bugs. Yeah. But yes, Evan, Australia, that's the craziest thing. Australia is like, they're like the petri dish. They're like the beta test. They're the authoritarian beta test for the rest of the world. So I don't know if you guys have been, not to be a bummer, but I don't know if you guys have been following what's happening in Australia. It is absolutely bat-ass crazy. Oh my God. I mean, what is happening? I saw a video of a lady who had to stay in one of their weird COVID concentration camps, whatever you want to call it, COVID camps. They were basically punishing her because she lied about taking a COVID test, and they made her stay there for 2 weeks. They tested her a bunch of times while she was there, and even though she tested negative every time, they still made her stay there. And they told her if she left her facility, they'd give her a $5,000 fine. It's really crazy what's happening over there. They got all these drones everywhere. Oh, here's the craziest thing about Australia. Also Austria, of course, too. But yeah, Australia, there's apparently this app that connects to the federal government where if they message you, you have to check in and tell them where you are within a certain period of time, or you can get in trouble, like get fined or something like that, right? The federal government in Australia, right, just to make sure. And so, you're not allowed to go more than, 5 miles, or it's probably kilometers, right? Can't go more than, 10 kilos, 10 kilometers from my house. So yeah, it's crazy. The Dark Horse podcast, Dr. Brett Weinstein and his wife, Dr. Heather Hying, they have been talking about the Australia thing. They said that they have two different friends who are taking their families and leaving Australia and just getting the hell out of there right now because it's so bad. So yeah, and it's crazy, right? Because who would think Australia? There's this really funny video by Paul Joseph Watson, actually, pretty hilarious, where he actually says that China apparently was calling out Australia for being too draconian. He's like, if Beijing is telling you you're too draconian, you've got a problem, So yeah, wow. Things are getting real weird. But I do have to say, I think that we are going to make it through this, guys. I really do. Maybe, call me naive, whatever. I think things are going to get worse before they get better. Things are going to get real weird. I mean, they're already real weird. They're going to get really, really weird here in a second. But I think that this is a process of humanity confronting its shadow on a collective level. I really, really do think that we're going to get through this. Things are going to be much better in a few years. I think that we're just exposing all the darkness and the weirdness and the manipulation and the control, and that this whole crazy lockdown thing is just here to expose a lot of stuff that's been happening for a long time, and therefore it will actually be beneficial ultimately. It's kind of like a boil popping. It's kind of a gross metaphor, but it's when it happens, it's really painful and it's disgusting and it's gross and it's horrible, but that's what's necessary so your skin can finally heal, right? Before it was beneath the surface, it was just sort of this lump and you could barely see it. And then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, then it explodes. And yeah. And I've had boils before. They're no fun. So I know from personal experience, they're pretty gross. But yeah, so that's what's happening right now, and people are waking up like crazy in all different ways. There's many layers to awakening. It's not just about awakening to the political control structures, but that's part of it. Awakening to oneness, or there's lots of levels to this, right? Spiritual levels, psychological levels, emotional levels to awakening. And humans are waking up. They really are. So we are going to get through this. So, I always feel a responsibility to, if I talk about this kind of stuff, I always feel a responsibility to also share the deeper perspective, where I really do honestly think that we have permission to hope. And it's all going to work out. It really will. Or it's all going to twerk out, as a friend of mine used to say. Twerk instead of work. It's this thing that got stuck in my brain. It's really ridiculous. Anyway, it's all going to work out, though. It's all going to twerk out. And just be prepared, though. There's nothing wrong with being prepared. It's okay to have some extra food. It's okay to, have some extra batteries and whatever you need. Be prepared for an SHTF type scenario. Nothing wrong with that. Worst case scenario, you never use it and you have peace of mind and you've got some extra supplies you can use for other stuff. Why not? There's really no harm in it, as long as you don't spend your entire savings on it, where you can't afford anything else, right? But there's really no harm in it, as long as you're doing within reason. So nothing wrong with being prepared. Better to be prepared than not. As I've heard many times in my life, funny saying, something that apparently insurance salesmen used to say back in the day: better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, as they say. So yes. And of course, stock up on CHOQ, just in case. Me as the CHOQ salesman, I would say that, right? Stock up on CHOQ, yes. I think it's about time to finish this up, guys. So yeah, let's do our second prize giveaway. Prize number 2, because it is double prize day, is 1 CHOQ t-shirt, 1 bag of cacao beans, and 1 of any CHOQ product. That is prize number 2. So the timer has begun. You have 57 seconds as of now to get your number in. And remember, guys, you have 1 entry only. 1 entry only. If you give more than 1 entry, you will be disqualified. Just FYI, them's the rules. We have another double digit here, interestingly enough. Very cool, very cool. 21 seconds left. Make sure you get your number in. You don't want to be late. Don't want to be disqualified for getting your number in late. So get her done. And that's it. Okay. The number was, drum roll, 66. So what do we got here? I see some 65s here. Oh, wow. So do we have 2 65s? Dang. Okay. So I don't see a 66. I don't see a 67, but I do see 2 65. So it looks like we might have to have another showdown. Yeah. So Shamsul Islam, as well as Jacob Tyler. Yeah. So Jacob and Shamsul, pardon me if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. You guys are going to do a Rochambeau here for prize number 2. So you guys both give me 1 more 2-digit number, and we will get her done. Yes, and try to do it fairly soon if you can, or else you will have to eat bugs. That sounded nothing like Klaus Schwab. I apologize. You will be eating bugs, yeah. So did you guys hear me? Shamsul as well as Jacob. If you're out there, okay. Jacob submitted a number. Shamsul, are you there? Can you give us 1 more number for the showdown? All right. Wow. Oh, you guys guessed almost the same number. So Jacob, you are the official winner. The number was 88. We actually had another double digit, interestingly enough. The last one was 66. So that's really cool. So Jacob, congratulations. You won prize number 2. Once again, Jacob, prize number 2 is 1 cacao bean, 1 shirt, and then 1 of whatever CHOQ product you want. That is the deal. So congratulations, Jacob. Also, congratulations to Jonathan for winning prize number 1. Thanks for being here on another Double Prize Friday, everybody. This was lots of fun. We got to go on lots of tangents, and I got to do some good impersonations as well as some not so good impersonations. Thanks for being here, though. These longer Friday ones are always fun. The weekend vibe's always fun, a little more whimsical. So much love to you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being such great fans. And it's always cool to see so many familiar faces every time. So I will see you guys next. We're probably going to skip Monday. That's been the tradition recently. So I'll probably see y'all next Tuesday around 5-ish or so. And much love to you guys. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend, whatever you're going to be doing, camping or dancing or, playing pool or golf or hiking or meditation, yoga, whatever it is that you're into. I hope that you guys have an awesome weekend. Much love. And stay human.